addition, apologists are obligated to prove an original manuscript ever existed to begin with. After all, we only have their word for the existence of an alleged original. Biblical apologists need some advice. They'd be wise to stop discussing the alleged original manuscripts, because the inability of anyone to examine them unavoidably brings into question the accuracy of every existing manuscript and every version of the Bible allegedly derived from them. Because there's simply no way of knowing, because there's simply no way to definitely compare what we have with what no longer exists, biblicists can never really be sure that they have an accurate copy of the Bible, quote, quote, the real Bible. We'd like to conclude by reading a letter from a critic in Dayton, Ohio. He says, quote, "I'm a Christian who very much enjoys reading your publication, Biblical Errancy. Several of my friends and I find it refreshing to finally come across an unbeliever like yourself who can articulate his unbelief and give reasons for it. Quite frankly, we're tired of the arguments that most lazy non-believers throw at us. I say lazy because they won't read the Bible for themselves, but instead rely upon someone else to provide reasons for their unbelief and to find biblical contradictions for them. Recently, I encountered several non-believers who struggled to make their point, hoping that there are justifiable reasons for their unbelief. Your paper has finally given their unbelief a backbone. One clear example is letter number 472 of your publication, in which a writer from Wayne, Michigan, announced that your publication had made him a completed atheist. Yes, Mr. McKenzie, you have succeeded in giving non-believers that which they need. However, before you get the wrong idea, let me emphatically state that I don't dislike you. In fact, I personally look forward to your paper and have often used it in my Sunday school classes. I utilize biblical errancy by reading to my class one of your contradictions and then by asking them to respond to your objection. A great deal of interest is always generated. The class appreciates the opportunity to think and reason about the many issues raised in Biblical Errancy, your publication. Your articles allow them to see that analytical people do exist, and they see things differently from Christians. Bible believers need to do their homework and be prepared to reason with people who reject the Christian faith. We should never be afraid of tough questions. Hence, I find your paper extremely helpful. I'm able to study your objections, formulate answers, and prepare to respond to your missionaries. Several continue to fail miserably in presenting the freethinker's message. I continue to observe that many of your readers cling to you for their answers. After all, why should non-believers invest time in reading a useless book? Unquote. In response to this, I said, although your bouquets are most appreciated, and it's nice to know that there are Christians who are open-minded enough to read opposing material, your brickbats need a reply. First, like some who have gone before, your attempt to drive a wedge between our publication and its readers is doomed to failure. Subscribers to our publication are among some of the most intelligent and analytical individuals you will ever encounter. And I know from experience that many don't cling to much of anything ideologically. Second, as far as freethinkers being too lazy to read the Bible, even critically, unfortunately with that I would agree. although that's far less true of our readers than others. Third, I don't dislike you either, although I most certainly feel sorry for someone who has succumbed to a book of philosophy that provides more tease than truth, more deceit than deliverance. Fourth, you say that you find our information helpful and are able to formulate answers to our questions. But you haven't submitted one answer to me yet. Is that because you're still thinking? Or is that because you're not sure your answers will withstand scrutiny? Fifth, you say that our missionaries failed to present our message adequately. Let me know who these incompetent missionaries are, and I'll contact them to see if we can arrange something more suitable for all sides. Perhaps they'd like to have an opportunity to redeem themselves in your eyes. Or even better yet, as a seeker of truth, why don't you invite me to your Sunday school classes to try my hand? Since the postmark on your letter says Dayton, Ohio, I could easily drive down to you. 6. Although you signed your letter, you didn't provide an address or a telephone number. Why not? Why are you so determined to remain anonymous? Is there something you have to fear? Or do you have something to hide? And lastly, I assume in the interest of fairness that in your Sunday school classes, you don't hesitate to focus on the strongest arguments presented by us. After all, surely you don't want to be like most apologists who love to take the only weak argument out of 100, build their entire case around it, and ignore the other 99. That is unquestionably one of the most common tricks used by propagandists. Indoctrinators love to focus on something that is very much the exception, overemphasize its importance, and ignore everything else. This strategy is used in politics and economics every day, especially by way of testimonies and statistics. And we can all see where that's gotten us. That completes our presentation. And please join us later for the 75th edition of Biblical Errancy Commentary, when we'll continue showing why the Bible is nothing more than the flawed composition of some fallible human beings. Thank you for listening.